and welcome to this episode of DIY Music. Today we're going to be talking about how to do a burst finish with spray cans, which many of you have requested. Thank you so much for your feedback. So when you're going to refinish a guitar, you have to remove all the hardware. One thing to look out for is this little guy. When I pulled the bridge off here, which just unscrewed like you would expect, there's this little metal loop of wire popping up under the bridge. What is that? Well, this is the ground wire that comes from the electronics, and what it does is it grounds the bridge and through the bridge the strings of your guitar, because all that metal makes a great antenna. So if you don't have a ground wire connecting, you're going to get a lot of unwanted noise. So make sure to not paint over this, because you're going to need to put it back exactly where it is so that it can complete the circuit with the strings in order to make sure you don't have ground buzz on your guitar when you put it back together. Now here's a situation you may run into depending on the type of guitar you're doing this to. On this guitar, I fully disconnected that humbucker pickup, but it's not coming out. And the reason is because it's soldered to these control pots on the back, which you would normally call knobs, or actually little potentiometers here. You have a volume that's by itself, and then a tone one, which has this little green capacitor stuck to it. So I'm going to have to disconnect this humbucker from these electronics in order to get it off of here. The right way would be to desolder it here where it's connected. Okay, so there's two connections in this pickup. Some humbuckers have 4 connections. This one only has 2. It has a hot and a ground. So let me go over to the other camera here. The hot is this little white wire here, and the ground is this braided wire that also comes out of this red wire. So this red wire is actually a hot wire inside a white shield with a ground wire braided running along with it. So in order to disconnect this, I'm going to have to disconnect both of those. What I could do is I could desolder both of those connections and reconnect them. That's the right thing to do. Instead, I'm feeling lazy and just want to get this done. So I'm just going to clip it with these snippers, and I'll reconnect all this crap later. Pick up out. Now that that's out of there, I can pull out the ground wire for the bridge, and the whole thing will just come out the back side of the guitar through the control cavity, which I pulled that cover off already. So now all the hardware is off of the guitar, which is step 1. Now, I cut the lower bout, and that's what you call these in guitar terms. This is an upper bout, and the lower bout is the pointy part that was sticking off before I hacked it off. This is a beater guitar I got at a thrift store, and I've been wanting to turn it into a fretless with really high access to the high strings. So I wanted to remove the lower bout to make it easier to get up to the highest end of the fretboard here. What I need to do is I need to recut this line to be exactly where I want it, and then sand off the corners to smooth it out so that it's got the same smooth curvature as the rest of the body, and then we'll prime and paint it. Alright, we're getting pretty close here to the point where I may want to file it or sand it instead of cutting. Well, okay, I got this one bump here. Need to smooth that out. Okay, so this is a skill saw, or a miter saw, saber saw, I'm not really 100% sure. That's what I use for most everything I do, so it's pretty close there. Glasses are fogging up something terrible. So now I'm going to try to sand that smooth. This is a palm sander. Sanding manually is for people who are less informed. So as you can see, it's getting close in terms of smoothness of the overall curve. Now I need to try to create some roundedness along these edges to match the rest of the body here. what I'm doing is I'm kind of writing at a diagonal along the main edge here, but then I'm also rotating this way to kind of create another edge, and also this way, so then you have like middle, halfway, flat, middle, halfway, flat, and then you just keep rolling this as you go back and forth along to create that nice smooth roundness. Circles are also good. Wax on, wax off. So this isn't going to win any Lutheria awards, but it got the job done. That lower bout is gone, and it's approximately smoothed out to match the rest of the body. So now comes the next stage, priming for our finish.